Welcome back to Cozy Couch Contingencies, where we bring warmth, curiosity, and behavioral science together, one conversation at a time. I'm Krista.
I'm Melissa, and today we're diving into one of those spaces that so many families experience, the time in between a diagnosis and the start of services.
Yeah, those weeks or months can feel uncertain and overwhelming. But today's guest has made it her mission to meet families in that space with understanding, guidance, and evidence-based support.
Yeah. We're thrilled to welcome Kia Lee. I hope I said that right.
Yes.
A board-certified behavior analyst, mother of two, and founder of Moments of Behavior, LLC. In her practice, she provides support for families on ABA waitlist, guidance for newly diagnosed families, and parent and caregiver consultations to help bring behavior science into daily routine.
So Kia, welcome to the couch. I know you're not with us in real life, but thank you. Yes.
You're here in spirit.
I am.
Awesome.
So let's start with your story. What's inspired you to create Moment of Behavior?
Yes, so I have been a BCBA for a little over 5 years now, but I've been in this field for a little over 8 total. So I just started to notice, like when I was in a clinic, I'm still in the clinic currently, but in one of my clinics, when I would give tours, we tell the parents, all the wonderful things we have to offer, and we show them, what a day in the life with their child being there would look like. And parents, start to get a little bit of hope. They're like, yes, I would love for my child to come here. And then when we were at the end of the tour, and they'll ask like, so how long do you think it'll be? And then we end up having to tell them, well, we do have a wait list, and it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be less or more. And, we don't really know all the time for sure. You kind of see like that hopeful face that they had, body language, like shoulders drop. And I pay attention to like all of those kinds of details within people as a behavior analyst, but just in my person as well. So just seeing that over and over again started to really like set in my heart, especially like being a mom. I know like when you want to, have something done for your child, you're lost and you don't know what to do. When you get a little bit of hope, you start to see the brighter side of things. But then when that is like turned, then they're kind of like back at step one. And so I would look to see if there was anything out there that parents could use or do, or just even videos they could watch to help during that time when their children are still experiencing these behaviors or just the struggles that they're having at home. Because even though they're going to be in ABA, there's still behaviors are happening. Life is still happening, they still need support. So that is what really drove like my mission and where my passion comes from. It's just like being some sort of support for those while they are waiting.
Yeah, as two moms here, we feel that and we love that completely. There's so much power in those in-between moments that can feel invisible. When you first began offering your support to families, what needs stood out most to you?
Really the needs, just in understanding behavior in general. I think I have, so on one of my, what is that thing called? Like, it's like a poster where it shows like your sign or whatever. My logo is, behavior isn't bad, it's communication. So just understanding what behavior is, why a behavior is happening is, I think, what was the word that you used? I'm sorry.
The in-between moments, maybe, or the needs that stood out most?
Oh, that stood out most. Yes, that is like what stood out most to me, is that people were lacking that understanding of what behavior was, what it looked like, and how to internalize and help like their children through that behavior, is really like what has been standing out the most.
Yeah, it sounds like your company was born to make those steps in between a little bit easier and a lot less lonely too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just really wanted like families and moms, dads, whoever, like just to really feel a little bit more empowered and educated, because I think like we have a lot, us as BCBS just in this field, we have a lot to offer, but just breaking it down a little into those like smaller steps, for our parents, versus just solely teaching them all of these like ABA foundational, like just ABA interventions and skills and techniques. It could be like so much, but just breaking it down to the basics where they can truly understand and then truly make that change for themselves at home.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the waitlist a little bit, because I would love to know what your support looks like for those families.
Okay. So how that looks, we do the initial like meet and greet, excuse me, so I can get to know them and kind of like where they're at. And then they can also get to know me to make sure that I'm a good fit. I feel like in this field, families are just not allowed. They don't have the option to choose their BCBA. They're just, you get to a clinic or you start in home and you're just kind of, you're assigned to a BCBA and you don't really get the option to choose because you've been on the wait list for so long, possibly. And then once you're in, you're just like, I'm just going to stick with it unless, something really bad happens and they're adamant about changing. But for the most part, people don't change or get to choose their BCBA. So I think it's important that in the beginning they get to choose me and say for sure, like, okay, we do want to continue with you. So I start there. And then throughout the process, I do go back to starting with, do they even understand behavior? If they recently received like a diagnosis and are on the wait list, have they come to terms and are they at peace with their child's new diagnosis? Because I don't want to go through and teach foundational skills, if it's about behavior or about communication or transitions, whatever the concern may be for them, if they aren't at the acceptance part. Not that I'm trying to be a counselor, but I think you can still use behavior analytic techniques to help with those things. So I kind of start there, but it could be very different from parent to parent based on like if they are already have their child diagnosed or if they are on that wait list. But my overall program is called the Grace and Growth Program. I call it that because I believe that we as parents don't give ourselves enough grace, and I want my parents to give themselves grace and to know that this is a lot. This is a new journey. But just throughout this journey, remembering to give yourself grace and that you will grow through it. And then just kind of going from there, like I said, with the foundations of what is behavior, what is ABA, and then I tailor it to more specific needs throughout that process. Like I said, whether someone says, oh, we're really having a hard time with transitions or schedules, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And you help them set up those different strategies that you can use for the transitions, and that's awesome.
Yeah, so I still do all the back end. Like I create an action plan based off of what they tell me. Usually I only target 2 to 3 things because their time with me is very short. Mm-hmm. I do require them to commit to at least 3 months, at least to get something good rolling for them. But like I said, we only stick to 2 things, whether it's just understanding communication and how to communicate with your child. If it's transitions and we want to build, if the parents say, yeah, we really want to get our schedules kind of locked down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but then we'll create the schedule. I'll make the material. And since it is virtual, I'll just send it to them.
Wow. That is such a great resource. Like you're just a great person to have for that. That's like a really cool thing. So let's talk about some right at that diagnosis part, because that's the part that I'm like, oh my goodness, that's such a tender and sometimes overwhelming time for a family. So what's something you wish every family could hear in that first week or 2?
When they're so it was going out just a little bit. I couldn't hear the end part. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. So like that overwhelming time, what's something you wish that every family could hear in the first week or 2 of diagnosis?
That part of it would be grace. I'm so big on just like giving ourselves grace, giving your children grace, and knowing that it's not anything that I think a lot of parents like take the blame on themselves. Like, what did we do wrong? And this is what I've heard. This is not just me saying it. This is what parents have said. Like they start to say like, what did we do wrong? Like what went wrong with me? Was there something wrong with me as a person for this to like happen to my child? But just knowing it's not like something that happened to their child. This is like part of who they are. And then just taking it day by day, just really trying to learn your child and learn yourself through your child, because this is going to be a journey. I mean, parenting is a journey already in itself, but then to add on a diagnosis is just another, you know, type of journey. So just taking it, you know, day by day, and knowing it's not like your fault. Like nothing is your fault. I think that's the biggest takeaway, because like I said, I have like gotten that a lot. Like it's just my fault. I'm like, no, don't blame yourself. You know, putting that pressure you know, pressure that doesn't need to be there.
That's awesome. So true. Yeah, it is. So you talk a lot about like the parent side of it, the caregiver side of it. What does that consultation look like?
Yeah, so it is very heavy parent focus. So I do go through like a set of questionnaires. Once they commit to being on, that they say like, yeah, we want to move forward, I do send out a questionnaire for them to fill out. It just gives me a little bit more detail, kind of like where they're at, whether it's like the recently diagnosed or they are on that wait list. I want to know things like that they have tried before, things that worked, things that didn't work. And then we kind of go through like what would be most beneficial for them right now. So of course I know they're going to work on communication, maybe fine motor, gross motor, social. There's like a list of all the things, but letting them know that we only have a limited amount of time. They can always extend their time with me, but I just only want to target like one or two things. And then really teaching them based on off of that. So I meet with them bi-weekly. So on the bi-weekly, by the time we have our first meeting, I would have already had the action plan set in stone, ready to go. I review it with them in our first meeting, and then we pick one skill to work on, whether it's we're going to use, I'm just going to use like first, then if they're not consistent with that at home, like, okay, they want to, especially if this is something that's been brought to me, we'll focus on one skill for 2 weeks. So I don't meet with them every week, because I know how life can get. Like they can say, oh yeah, we're going to work on it this week, but then something happens or whatever. So we meet bi-weekly, but I still check in with them on those off weeks. Hey, how's it going? Are you doing well with this? Like, do you need a little bit more support? And I do send them like encouraging messages throughout that. I've gotten pretty good feedback with that model. And then on that second week, will be the third week, we review like the week, kind of talk through what happened, what went well, what didn't went well, and then we'll add on something else to that. So we'll do whatever we worked on the first week, the second week, and then our like second like in our telehealth session. So we kind of build it like that.
I really like that coaching model. It sounds more like a shift from that traditional expert tells you what to do sort of feel, and more like let's work together for a common goal. I really love that. That's awesome.
Yes, and I definitely tell them like this, because a lot of questions that I get in the beginning is like, are you coming in and are you doing this? I'm like, no, I am teaching you how to do it. This is all on you. Okay. Especially because they're investing in this. I want them to know that you're going to get the most out of it by actually doing it, because I think that that's sometimes where we lack in ABA, especially center-based sometimes. Like I love center-based. I think it's great for the child, but we only meet with the parents monthly. And I feel like sometimes that time is not enough to really teach them and to help them through that process to know like what to do. Because a lot of times I'll hear like the parents say, oh, they do this for you guys, you know, in the center, but I never see them do it at home. And the parents are still not equipped enough, you know, with learning whatever it is to implement it at home. So that is why I put so much emphasis on like, this is on you. I'm like your guide. I'm your coach to help you through. Yes.
That's awesome. So what's one common myth or misconception about ABA or parent coaching that you find yourself clarifying?
The one that actually I just talked about, like, am I the one doing it? I think it's like they hear parent coaching, but I think they still think that I'm going to be the one coming in to do it, because I have also done like behavior consultation through like waiver services, and with that the BCBA does come in and train everybody and show and still like that direct model, so to say. But with this, I have to clarify a lot. Like, no, it's not me. I'm like your teacher. Like, I'm really like just helping you learn how to do it and move forward from there.
I think that really resonates with a lot of people. I know in a lot of fields that in different positions I've had over the years, a lot of parents assume that we're going to take that role and that charge. Like, no, we want that for you.
Yes.
We want you to have that power and feel empowered with your kiddo in your own home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you could give one message to families who might be in the waiting list, in that waiting phase, feeling uncertain or alone, what would you want them to hear?
I would just want them to know that they definitely are alone. There is resources and supports out there. I think also like leaning into your Facebook groups. So there's like thousands of Facebook groups out there, and I know that a lot of times the parents feel alone. They feel like, their world is kind of like caving in and they don't know where to go or what to do. But definitely like not losing that hope, because there is so much out there, but knowing that it's not going to come to you, and that you really have to like put forth like your effort and really like look and seek those things. That way can advocate, like, for yourself and for your child, and get that help that you like both need.
Yeah. I think that's a really grounding message. I think that it's really important to remember that. And I think it's just an essential piece that I think parents often forget. So that's good.
Yeah. Because I think too, we as parents, like if we sign, like say we try to get a doctor's appointment, we kind of expect like people to reach out to us. But sometimes like those facilities, like there's just so much going on that I think we forget that we are our child's advocate, and we are the advocate, for our family, and we really have to like push that. And I think that's something that's also like not talked about enough, like just advocating for our child and for ourselves as the parent, getting the resources and things that we need to be successful.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This has been such a refreshing conversation. Really. And we really hope people check out your resources, and we'll kind of share some as the week goes on, leading up to this and afterwards. So we definitely cannot wait to see how things go. It is great that you're doing something like this.
Yeah, it makes my heart really happy.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate you guys for, having me on and asking those kinds of questions as well, too. It's really helpful for me even to like reflect on what I'm doing and to make sure like I'm actually being helpful to others and giving back, because I don't want to just do this just because I like to do it. I want to make sure that I'm actually reaching people and helping, people as well. So it's good to know.
Incredible. Yeah, it's something that is definitely missing from our field.
It really is. That in between lag.
Yes. When we first had found you on Instagram, we were like, oh my gosh, like that's incredible to see someone having that realization of what do you do in that in between phase. There's so many things that aren't happening, and how do we help before they do get into clinical ABD? What if they're not in school and they get diagnosed? Like it's just so eye-opening to see how much more growth we have as a field to kind of reach more people in that respect.
Yes. And I think definitely too, like the parents that I have been serving, they feel more equipped when they go into ABA. They're not so lost, because sometimes even like when the child receives services, the parent meeting doesn't always happen like initially, because the BCBA is still trying to learn the child and teach the tech on how to implement different things, and other behaviors pop up. So sometimes that parent meeting doesn't even happen until like a month or a few weeks in. So at least like when they come to me, I can help them have some sort of foundation or know-how of like what to expect, and that way they are a little bit more equipped for when their child does receive services, and they kind of already know like what's going on a little bit. Something is better than nothing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm just going to do a little plug for everyone. So you can learn more about Kia and her work at Moment of Behavior LLC. We'll link it all in our page, and socials too.
So thank you for tuning in to Cozy Couch Contingencies. We hope today's episode reminded you that growth happens in the smallest and most meaningful moments.
And remember to stay cozy, stay curious, and stay compassionate.
And cheers to Cozy Couch Contingencies.
Thank you, Kia.
Thank you.